All right, I'm jumping in right away, no introduction, just me and my self-published author's diary. Hi, I'm recording this on August 27th. Last week I had my first author event in years. I think it was 2017, September, at the Baltimore Book Festival. That was the last time I had an in-person author event. I was supposed to go to one in October 2017, but my transplant got moved forward. So my wonderful, wonderful chemical engineer of a husband, who is listening to this podcast, actually stood in for me at that event, which was in my neighborhood. And that is indeed, he is the sweetest. And he sent me pictures, and it was just so cute and made me smile and still makes me smile. So Alex, I know you're listening, so thank you again. So last week I went to Park Books in Savannah Park for Bookstore Romance Day, and it was everything and more. The organization was wonderful. I got to speak with amazing authors and readers, and it was just so cool. Talking about Park Books, I want to say that they are currently raising money for a very amazing project of theirs, which is called Speak Easy, and it's kind of like a community place on top of the bookstore where the event actually took place. And they wanted to become kind of like a wine, coffee meeting place. And yes, I will have the link to that particular fundraising effort for that project, which is a huge project. So if you're in the Savannah Park area, Maryland area, and that's something that appeals to you, and you would like to help this woman entrepreneur and this team that has created such a wonderful place, there's a lot of things they're doing for the community. And yeah, I'll just add the link just in case. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a couple of things that I've done that I found helpful for this event in case it helps you too. And at the end of those tips, I'll share one moment which happened before the event, which had me slightly freaking out when it came to ordering paperback copies of my latest novella, Once Upon a Christmas Eve, for the event. But before that, I wanted to also quickly tell you that what I'm currently reading, and because it's self-publishing related. And I think I'm going to do that once I do an episode. I'll tell you either what I'm listening at the moment or what I've been listening that is self-publishing related and I'm finding helpful. I've been listening, of course, to Becca Syme. I'm saying of course because I've talked about her before, but the Becca Syme podcast, the Quidcast. The latest episode was about different types of authors, but there was one right before about how to make sure you're creating a sustainable business and looking at year on year and things like that. So if you have not listened to the Quidcast yet, I highly recommend it. In terms of audiobook, I'm listening to Advantage by Joe Solari, Harnessing Cumulative Advantage in the Winner Takes All Publishing Market. I'm on chapter 5, and it's pretty interesting so far. I think it's Katie Cross who recommended it. Katie Cross, who is doing a lot of selling direct. And I've been thinking more and more about what added value I want to bring to my readers and how to connect with them more and give them more of what they want. I'm trying to really refocus my entire thing about my readers and how to really connect with them. And I've also been thinking about trying to sell more directly, selling direct to my readers. And no, I'm not starting that now. This is something where I want to learn a little bit more before I dive in and see. I was listening to people or reading articles about people who are selling directs and it's really working for them. I feel like they already had some sort of a larger maybe readership than I do. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to move forward with that. But that's something I'm very interested in, to also diversify a little bit and to really create that world, like the Swans Cove and the Garrett City series. And I'm just trying to figure out if that's something that I want to try or not. So I'm learning. Another thing that I'm slowly but surely making my way toward is changing all my bilingual books to duobilang. I think I've explained before, but in terms of, when people search my name, wherever they search my name, and this is what comes up. But they've been looking for my steamy rom-coms, or they've been looking for my Gathered City series, or A Summer Like No Other, or any of the other books that I've written. It's problematic when what shows up as the most popular are my bilingual books. This is something that I'm slowly trying to make my way towards changing. I just updated a Kindle this morning. Updating the paperbacks is actually what takes the longest, and so I still have to do that for that particular book, but I'm starting with the Kindle. But today is about author events and what worked for me last week. So I used to teach. I swear it's important. I also used to work as a press officer, which I think is also important. And on top of that, I've been doing improv now for a couple of weeks, which I think probably does help with everything, depending on the type of person that you are. So I was trying to think about ways to make that event more of a two-way communication street. So not only, me talking, but also me listening to what people are saying, and trying to find a way to connect with the readers who might stop by my table. And I didn't want to just sell. Which, by the way, talking about selling, I did come up with a great line for the Swansco series. I'm now saying that it's like a funny Hallmark movie, but with an open door, hint, hint. But I wanted to connect with readers. So I also wanted more readers from the area on my mailing list. And I also wanted to bring something fun to said readers. So I created a poster. It had post-its of my brainstorming with myself for most eligible Scrooge, kind of a way to show my process. And on the other side, in bigger letters, I added write a steamy rom-com short story with me. And then I added questions. So I had little cards with questions like favorite trope, character names, pets, what they'd like to see, jobs, conflicts, name of small town, season, and more. I could have done it differently where I had like cards and they could have written down and put it in a box, but I really wanted to have that communication, right? Talking to them, listening to them, asking them questions, laughing with them. And so whenever someone would stop by my table or would pass by, I would tell them about my books, the Swansco series, that Hallmark movie line, and then my Gathered City series, which is more a Lifetime movie type of book. And then I would tell them that if they gave me their first name and their email address and answered one of the questions, I would send them a short story with the info I'm gathering on that day. So it's tailor-made to readers of that day. And I got more than 20 emails, and I had really fun conversations with readers about their favorite tropes, funny pets, and etc. So what I would do is I would take the poster board and I would be the one writing. So I would listen to what they're saying, and then I would write it down. And, I got to discuss people's favorite tropes. I got to discuss a little bit like what made them laugh, what thing they would find interesting, what kind of characters they would like to see. And I'm going to write a steamy rom-com short story with a paleontologist and a pool boy, and they're going to be enemies to lovers, and they're going to go to a coffee shop and all those things. The one thing I'd do differently is that I would maybe have a tablet with me to write the emails down, because right now I have like a notebook and a pen, and people would write, but I first had to send emails for them to confirm, which I would do anyways, even with the tablet. Like I want that first contact to be still them confirming per email that they do want to get that short story, that the first name I have and the email I have is the correct one. And also I think it establishes a little bit more of a connection, because then they're kind of used to responding to an email from me, and they met me in person. And then I have maybe 2 emails that I didn't manage to read or figure out what that email was. But it was really so much fun. Like I laughed a lot. They laughed a lot. And I sold more books than I expected. So the chemical engineer and I had come up with a number. And the reason why is because sometimes I have, wild hopes, and I still do. I mean, and dreams. But if I don't reach that goal, I don't want to be, which is a numerical goal, I don't want to be disappointed, because the rest of the event was just really so amazing. Park Books did such an amazing work in terms of getting that event together. So the goals I had were to connect with readers and other authors and enjoy the day, and then sell a small number of books. And I did all those things. I connected with readers, I connected with other authors, I saw authors I had not seen in years, and then I saw and met new authors who are so talented, and it was just such a wonderful day. And then I sold more books than I had planned, so it's like a win-win-win-win-win. Another thing that I did that you might find helpful if you have a lot of audiobooks is I had audiobook codes for my store that readers could pick up. Another thing that I might do, and again, because I'm trying to sell more direct, I had one person downloading one book. It was a freebie already, but that means that person did use my direct sell, my direct store, which is currently on PayHip. Another thing that I did is that in the paperbacks that I sold, I added a QR code linking to my mailing list, which I actually left also on the e-retailers. So that's something that I've done so that if people actually purchase the paperback, they can maybe use the QR code and I can welcome them to my readers list. Since the banner I had back in 2017 no longer worked for the books I'm currently writing, I created a poster. So I designed it in Canvas and then I uploaded the posters onto Walgreens and I paid about $10 for the poster. I attached it to a foam board, which I already had, and then I bought a cheap poster stand on Amazon for about $15. Most of my sales were paid via Stripe. I had upgraded as I'm planning on doing more events in the future. So here's an August update for you, and I cross my fingers that this was helpful. If you have any questions about the event or how I reached out to Park Books or how I decided on my pricing for the books or whatever else, don't hesitate to reach out or leave a voicemail. And there's like all those links into the episode's description. And if you love steamy rom-coms, make sure you download Once Upon a Christmas Eve. It's free on all e-retailers. And as promised, here's a little audio of my freak out a couple of days before the event. Because, it's my diary and I'm sharing the ups and downs. So here we go. Hello, it is August 10th as I'm recording this. Plato the dog just has a very squishy face because he just woke up. So he's on the couch next to me. I wanted to give you a little bit of a taste or a sneak peek or maybe just, tell you a little bit of the behind the scenes of self-publishing. So dear diary, are you ready? I have been dealing with something that has been quite frustrating in the past couple of days. I am publishing my Christmas rom-com novella called Once Upon a Christmas Eve. I got the most amazing reviews from my newsletter readers who have read the novella, and I decided that I was going to just make it free for everybody and will be like my series starter. And on top of it, it ends on a cliffhanger, so it's a nice lean into Most Eligible Scrooge, which is coming out pretty soon as well. So this is the exciting part. Then I had to do the paperback. And to do the paperback, what I usually do is I download the template from Amazon and then I upload the template into Canva and then I work on my beautiful paperback cover. And it usually works pretty well. But this one is like, because it's a novella, it's only 90 pages. So the spine is very small. It's tiny. And I had started by putting steel tacks, which I made pretty small, and it was within the margins according to what I could see. But clearly my file got rejected several times. So I'm like, okay, and every time the issue, because that's important for the rest of the story, the issue was that the spine text was too big. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to delete the text. What's the point? It's small, it's, a novella, it's pretty thin because I am trying to keep the same size for all the books. It just looks nicer on somebody's, bookshelf. And so I deleted the text and I re-uploaded my file. And it's a little bit stressful, not because, if I didn't have anything planned, I would be like, okay, that's fine. It's just, taking a little bit of my time, but no big deal. But the thing is, I have an event, my first event in years, on August 19th, and I need those paperbacks to be at my home, to be delivered. So I need the files to go through quality review. And right now it has not. And so like I took away the text, re-uploaded the file, did everything I'm supposed to do, and still got the text on the spine is too large. And I'm like, well, but there is no text. I don't understand. So I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't upload the right file. I'd always preview it, right? But I'm like, oh, maybe something went wrong. So, because you have to preview it. But I re-uploaded yesterday. There is no text on the spine. Everything looks great. I double check, everything is fine. I press publish, it's in review. And this morning I get yet another email telling me, no, sorry, there is text on your spine. And I don't know if it's my cache that's having an issue or if there is an issue in their system. I don't know. All I know is that I've been trying to get that paperback ready since Monday, and it's not working. So I double checked again, and then I looked at the little thumbnail. If you're on your KDP account, you can see like the thumbnail of the cover that you submitted. And I zoom on it because it's pretty small. And I zoom on it. I'm like, there is text on the spine. I double checked the file that I uploaded, which I have on my computer. There is no text on the spine. So something is not working the way it's supposed to. So I re-uploaded again the file. This time I waited and I made sure that the thumbnail showed that there was no, like, I zoomed in addition to double checking what I have to double check, which shows me there is no text. I still like zoomed in. I'm like, okay, there is no text. I'm going to hit publish. And then this afternoon, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to contact also the chat. I'm going to talk to somebody and make sure that the file they're seeing doesn't have text on the spine. So I contact the chat and I chat with them. And the person I was chatting with at the beginning kept on telling me like, oh, I can give you the measurements. I'm not, no, I don't need the measurements. I have the template. I can go, like, I appreciate your help, but I don't need information about what I need to make sure of, because the file that I sent does not have any text on the spine. I don't know how many times I can say that. And they replied and again went on about the fact that, the measurements and blah, blah, blah. And then I asked again, I'm like, well, is there a way for you to see the file that I submitted? And they told me yes. And I asked them, can you see text on the spine? And they said no. So I was relieved. But my relief was short-lived because then they said, oh, but there is a problem, like your internal image is not all the way to the border. I'm like, what? And then I look at my file and I'm like, are you talking about the snow? Like there is a little bit of white at the bottom, but it's snow. And they're like, no. The arm of the gentleman. And I look at it, I'm like, no, that's fine. That's part of the cover. It's okay. And then they wanted to start a ticket, and I'm just worried that if they started a ticket for something that was not an issue before, then it was going to go back around and then my file is going to get rejected and everything is going to start from. So I don't know. I will update you. I will let you know if that file passes quality control, but the good news is that the person told me they no longer see the text on the spine, so I don't know what was happening there. It's still in review. It's not publishing. I'm just looking at it now. Usually it's pretty fast for me for a title to like go from in review to publishing. Then it might take like a few hours or maybe 24 hours until it's in the store. But I don't like the fact that it's been in review since this morning. I think I re-uploaded it around 6:30 a.m. So I really want this paperback for the event. I'm going to cross your fingers that this file goes through, because I'm already starting to think about other possibilities for me to get author copies on time. I have other books, like I got the other copies, but this one was the one that I just published and wanted to have, because it's a novella, so it's a bit less expensive, and for people who do not know my writing, it's also a nice way to get into my stories, into Swan's Cove. I needed to share that with you all and give you a little bit of a peek inside my self-publishing world. Thank you so much for listening. As I said, I'm sharing the ups and downs, and it all worked out at the end. So that's what matters. I got those copies after the event, but I had gotten 5 other copies that I could sell, and so I sold one of those. And then from the copies that I got afterwards, I will be using them at another event. I'm also going to have them on my store. So it's all good. It was a little bit stressful at the time, but it's all good. And I just wanted to say that, to be 100% transparent, if you have listened to this podcast and this episode and you found it helpful, that's really all I hope for. I'm not publishing, as you can tell. I'm maybe releasing episodes once a month right now. So it's not a weekly podcast. I'm not releasing every Tuesday or every Sunday or every other week. I'm releasing when I feel like I have something helpful to say and I have the time to record it. And so at some point I thought that this podcast, which I started because I wanted to connect with other authors and I wanted to be helpful, and while the two-way communication, because I don't feel like sometimes I'm talking and I know you're listening, but you can't talk back and I cannot see your reactions. So sometimes it's not exactly everything that I thought, but I am enjoying being able to share things that have been helpful to me and the ups and the downs, and maybe it can help you. Maybe sometimes you feel less lonely in this self-publishing world, or maybe sometimes you can gather something that will be helpful for you. And so that's why I still want to, and that's why I will continue to do this podcast the way I'm currently doing it. And I'm not, I don't think it's going to become another stream of revenue. I've been doing that for more than a year right now. And it's okay. It's okay with me because my goals have shifted for it and I enjoy recording it. So again, thank you so much for listening. And to all writers out there, happy writing. And to everyone, happy reading.